Okay, where are we? We are got the 650 Norton on the lift. Gave it a wash this morning. It's always a bit of a chore dragging all the equipment out, hooking up all the hoses and the drop line, drop cables and stuff. But I sprayed a bit of degreaser on it, get that first layer of grease off so every time I touch it I'm not black. And up on the lift now, so I'll jack it up and get it ready to start taking apart. I've got to just kind of hold my horses because I've got a fair number of pieces for the bathtub, the 61 Thunderbird, that I got to get ready. My buddy is asking for them. Where's my, I just had 2 rags. Where did I put them? One here. Good. That'll do it. Get the grease off my hands. So, 7, 8, 9, 29th, 30, 31, 1, 2, 3, yep. So, time's counting down to the general election in the US. I see that a fair number of people have voted early, which is a cool thing. I'm glad those facilities exist, voting. What is voting? Voting is, I mean, I've claimed forever that it's a placebo. And though I can talk about, as I see the history of the United States, the Constitution, the framing of it, the ideas of it, what brought us to that, it's a historic thing. But the idea that people vote for a man has been proven to be false for a long, long time. Now, I'm going to jump really quickly over a whole lots of discussion to a topic I was discussing today with a very old friend of mine, one I've worked with and known for a long, 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 long time, very intelligent. But I feel that the modern political environment has deranged him to a little bit because he ends up in a position, and this is my discussion with him, you know, what are we voting for right now? Now, it's very much, by and large, and considering that about 50% of those eligible to vote. So I think last 2016, it was 55% cast a ballot. And so, you know, it's an interesting one, that alone. But the other side is, like right now, in normal time and space, and I'm thinking of my buddy, we call him the Bear. The Bear, in normal space and time, would not vote for Joe Biden. You know, I discussed 2016 with him, and I know that he cast his ballot neither Republican or Democrat. He cast it in the fringe. I'm not going to say who for, but in the fringe, meaning there that it's not a vote for, it is a vote against, but it's a vote of testimony, it's a vote of statement, it's a vote maybe of even conscience. But right now, the Trump situation has made people so unfathomably illogical. It's just insane, crazy, stupid, surprising, amazing how totally deranged and emotional so many voters are. And so knowing that the Bear, the Bear, man, what a guy. He's a great guy, great intellect. I've known him since the early 80s, and though we haven't seen each other for a long, long time. We've always exchanged words and ideas, and never have we, I don't want to say disagree, because see, people think that because I'm not for Joe, I'm for Trump, which is the farthest thing in the world from the truth. I would like to say that I think Trump's done some quite intelligent, amazing things. And the foreign policy, the peace treaties, the trade agreements, on and on and on and on. I won't go into them in depth. I think they're all positive. I'm not a fan of free trade. I'm not a fan of what has happened in the past, that example being China, that we will penalize ourselves and put in terribly stringent protocols for fossil fuel use and carbon emission, because we are of a belief that these emissions are doing terrible things to our environment, which is not proven. But we will let China continue to run unabated because we want them to develop. Well, that's a load of horse shit. And the idea that this current administration, for whatever reason, has chosen to be tough on so many international policies and positions and platforms, that I'm in favor of that. Now, I'm not saying it's Trump. He has some pretty decent people behind him. I will say I think highly of Mike Pompeo. I think he's a pretty bright guy. I wouldn't really think there could be anyone that is much better than him. I mean, to sing the praises of Donald Trump, hard to say. I mean, the economy was doing very well. Now, I don't know how you measure that. If you measure it by the stock market, you know, you go back into the last administration where our buddy Obama got up and said the day of 2% growth is gone. Well, he was just covering his ass because he couldn't do that. I mean, the way they were giving stuff away and the way they were treating everyone around them and hoping, I mean, it's just, you're selling America. You're selling the resources, and the resources therein being labor. So highly skilled or even moderately skilled labor in the United States should not be traded for cheaper goods offshore. It's just the way it is. I mean, it's a funny one. I'm going to jump into a whole different thing, then come back in a minute. But if you read deep with this Kung Flu, as I call it, the coronavirus that did come out of Wuhan laboratories in Wuhan, China, the virus was there under the blessing, auspices, and funding of the United States. This guy, Anthony Fauci, signed off on some millions of dollars that went to the Wuhan laboratories for this purpose of dealing with the coronavirus. The United States, and I don't know when, I'd have to check my resources, but going back in time, the United States decided it was too dangerous to keep these studies, these lab sessions in the United States, so they sent them to China. So the United States knows what they're dealing with. There's a lot of cover up. This Fauci guy, though, you know, it's one of my things. People say, well, he's been there through 8 presidents. That disqualifies him right away. Anyone that's been in their damn job that long is a yes man and covers their ass. My opinion only. So my opinion doesn't count for much. But we were talking about casting your Democratic ballot. So, of course, by now we're getting a clearer picture that casting a ballot means supporting the Electoral College system. So depending on how you cast your ballot and what state you live in will determine how your electoral vote for president goes. So to simply cast it against, I don't want that bastard in, I don't want him in, I can't stand him, he drives me nuts, I'm gonna vote against him. Sure, that's one way to do it. I personally do not agree with that. You know, I've always considered the Democratic ballot to be a very important one. And I've disagreed with politics for almost all of my life. and having worked very closely in and with the political systems, my proximity to the systems did not make me feel any more confident. So when you get ready to cast your vote next week, it's probably already done for you. It's okay if you've done it and you feel good about it, fine. The system is such that the outcome will not make everyone happy. See, I'm just kind of looking at it from a voyeuristic point of view, which is a cheap position to be in. They say I don't have anything vested. I have no land in the United States. I'm not going to retire to the United States. As it burns, I will sit here in Australia. But for those near and dear to me in the United States, for fuck's sake, people, wake up a little bit. I don't know what you're doing allowing this foolishness, the double standards, the rhetoric. They say, oh, Trump's divisive. Well, he's as divisive as the Black Lives Matter movement that stands outside people's houses and calls them foul names. So if you think that that is inclusive and friendly, well, by God, you and I gotta have to sit down and have a long chat and try to reconcile that. So I'm about done. The Norton's on the sled. I feel happy about that. It's 30 degrees out now after a couple days. We've had, golly, I want to say like 6 inches of rain over 3 days. Everything's going to grow stupid. And it wasn't cold rain, it was warm rain. So good stuff. That's done. See you later.